Nice. We are live. This is James of the Hake Report, and it is Sunday, October 27th, 2019, and something wonderful happened last night, and I'm going to let President Trump tell you all about it, and this is kind of long, but bear with me. Listen in.
Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead. He was the founder and leader of ISIS, the most ruthless and violent terror organization anywhere in the world. The United States has been searching for Baghdadi for many years. Capturing or killing Baghdadi has been the top national security priority of my administration. U.S. Special Operations Forces executed a dangerous and daring nighttime raid in northwestern Syria and accomplished their mission in grand style. The U.S. personnel were incredible. I got to watch much of it. No personnel were lost in the operation, while a large number of Baghdadi's fighters and companions were killed with him. He died after running into a dead-end tunnel, whimpering and crying and screaming all the way.
That's right.
The compound had been cleared by this time, with people either surrendering or being shot and killed. 11 young children were moved out of the house and are uninjured. The only ones remaining were Baghdadi in the tunnel, and he had dragged 3 of his young children with him. They were led to certain death. He reached the end of the tunnel as our dogs chased him down. He ignited his vest, killing himself and the 3 children. His body was mutilated by the blast. The tunnel had caved in on it in addition, but test results gave certain, immediate, and totally positive identification. It was him. The thug who tried so hard to intimidate others spent his last moments in utter fear, in total panic and dread, terrified of the American forces bearing down on him. We were in the compound for approximately 2 hours, and after the mission was accomplished, we took highly sensitive material and information from the raid, much having to do with ISIS, origins, future plans, things that we very much want. Baghdadi's demise demonstrates America's relentless pursuit of terrorist leaders and our commitment to the enduring and total defeat of ISIS and other terrorist organizations.
Beautiful.
Our reach is very long. As you know, last month we announced that we recently killed Hamza bin Laden, the very violent son of Osama bin Laden, who was saying very bad things about people, about our country, about the world. He was the heir apparent to Al-Qaeda, terrorists who oppress and murder innocent people should never sleep soundly, knowing that we will completely destroy them. These savage monsters will not escape their fate, and they will not escape the final judgment of God. Baghdadi has been on the run for many years, long before I took office. But at my direction, as Commander-in-Chief of the United States, we obliterated his caliphate 100% in March of this year. Today's events are another reminder that we will continue to pursue the remaining ISIS terrorists to their brutal end. That also goes for other terrorist organizations. They are likewise in our sights. Baghdadi and the losers who worked for him, and losers they are, They had no idea what they were getting into. In some cases, they were very frightened puppies. In other cases, they were hardcore killers.
Nice.
But they killed many, many people. Their murder of innocent Americans, James Foley, Stephen Sotloff, Peter Kasich, and Kayla Mueller, were especially heinous. The shocking publicized murder of Jordanian pilot, a wonderful young man, spoke to the king of Jordan. They all knew him, they all loved him. He was burned alive in a cage for all to see on the execution of Christians in Libya and Egypt, as well as the genocidal mass murder of Yazidis, rank ISIS among the most depraved organizations in the history of our world. The forced religious conversions, the orange suits prior to so many beheadings, all of which were openly displayed for the world to see. This was all that Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, this is what he wanted. This is what he was proud of. He was a sick and depraved man, and now he's gone. Baghdadi was vicious and violent, and he died in a vicious and violent way as a coward, running and crying. This raid was impeccable and could only have taken place with the acknowledgement and help of certain other nations and people. I want to thank the nations of Russia, Turkey, Syria, and Iraq, and I also want to thank the Syrian Kurds for certain support they were able to give us. This was a very, very dangerous mission. Thank you as well to the great intelligence professionals who helped make this very successful journey possible. I want to thank the soldiers and sailors, airmen and Marines involved in last night's operation. You are the very best there is anywhere in the world. No matter where you go, there is nobody even close. I want to thank General Mark Milley and our Joint Chiefs of Staff.
What's up, Jay?
And I also want to thank our professionals who work in other agencies of the United States government and were critical to the mission's unbelievable success. Last night was a great night for the United States and for the world. A brutal killer, one who has caused so much hardship and death, has violently been eliminated. He will never again harm another innocent man, woman, or child. He died like a dog. He died like a coward. The world is now a much safer place. God bless America. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you, Trump.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey guys, I'm James Hake, and you just heard President Trump bragging about how his military killed Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. You can call in 888-775-3773. I got more to talk about. So nice.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, quick announcement, guys. I am James Hake. No church today, no regular church with Jesse Lee Peterson at Bond, Rebuilding the Man, but we will have a excellent live premiere. Well, it's a premiere, right? Of 2008 Sunday service at the regular Sunday service time, 11 a.m. Pacific time. So make sure you check out Bond Rebuilding the Man on YouTube. Jesse Lee Peterson is out today. He is going to, well, he is at, presumably, right? Politicon over in Nashville, Tennessee. Normally, Politicon is in Los Angeles or Pasadena, but now all of a sudden they're having it in Nashville, Tennessee, and he will be debating John Fugelsang. And so make sure you check that out. Hopefully it will be live streaming on maybe Nick's phone or somebody. Jesse is out with his producer and his PR guy and some others. So hopefully we will see part of the excitement today. I think that's slated to happen around 3 p.m. Central Time, which would be 1 Pacific, 4 Eastern. So make sure you check that out. But I am here for the Hake Report, and thank you guys. The ISIS leader is dead, according to President Trump and his people. And yes, Doubting Thomas, tons more cowbell. I saw your chat. That yes, he did kill. I put a couple of chats in the folder actually. You may refresh. They did come with DNA testing. They had some lab technician people get some of it, plenty of the remains, and it was indeed positive and totally definitively him, according to the government, as much as you can trust it. But it's under Trump, right? So you can kind of trust it. And that was President Trump announcing just this morning, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead. Born, what test results? Did they test his DNA in 5 minutes? This is so staged. Tons more cowbell is a good guy, nice guy. Faithful listener to the Jesse Lee Peterson show and Church, and the Hake Report. Thank you, tons. Doubting Thomas. But I'm pretty sure we got him. Oh, and by the way, this guy, I happened to see this comment too. BC Gosnell said, I have never heard of this guy, referring to Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Probably because he didn't really read the news. It wasn't publicized as much as Osama bin Laden. Isn't this the same speech Obama gave when he got, quote unquote, Osama bin Laden? And that is a very good question. No, it is not, because President Obama, the failed president, never would have said he was crying like a girl. Well, he didn't say crying like a girl, but screaming and crying like a coward. Multiple times Trump said that. So this Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi was the head of ISIS. I have like a Wikipedia little entry about him. Joel showed it. And show that picture again. That ISIS, the Wikipedia one. He was born Ibrahim Awad Ibrahim Ali al-Badri al-Samari Rai. And so that's a picture of him from 2004, supposed mugshot. And over in Iraq, I think he's from Iraq. And he was the leader of the so-called Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, or Iraq and Syria. And that's why President Obama, the failed president, called his organization ISIL instead of ISIS. But we call it ISIS, not ISIL. Obama was kind of, he liked to be different, I guess. But we call it ISIS. And some people call it IS, Islamic State. And by the way, this Abu, there's a picture of him speaking. He was like he was like 10 years older than me, late 40s, right? And he was born circa 1971, died 26th of October, 2019. There's a picture of him. And his beard got grayer and stuff. But he had kids, and he, as you heard President Trump say, according to the story of this raid, he took 3 of his kids into the tunnel with him to try to escape, but the tunnel was blocked, and dogs were coming after him, and he had a suicide vest on, and he exploded the suicide vest, killing himself and his children. And he was screaming and crying, according to Trump. And Trump tells the truth. Whimpering and screaming and crying. So nice. And by the way, what else? They were this was the leader of ISIS, and ISIS was that extreme terrorist organization whose co-founders were Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Barack and Hillary were the co-founders of ISIS. And I say that because they were supposedly like arming these guys. They were supposedly, I know this is so common, right? I think that we even had the chance to do the same with Osama bin Laden. I heard that Bill Clinton, Osama bin Laden being the so-called leader of Al-Qaeda, who was killed later by the military under Obama, which is not impressive. The military was going to get him, with or without Obama. But, yeah. So, Obama and Hillary, remember the Benghazi thing over in Libya, where Hillary let our people be in harm's way, and 4, I think, Americans were killed over in Benghazi on September 11th, 2012. By the way, Obama shouldn't have been re-elected, right? He was re-elected a couple months later. Stupid Americans, right? Stupid so-called American voters. Many of them anchor babies. Many of them brainwashed millennials and Gen X and boomers. Idiots. But anyways, Baghdadi had test results on him. Well, his dead body, right? They did test results to identify him. Trump did call him a thug who tried to manipulate and intimidate people. And I remember Barack Obama called the ISIS people thugs. He's like, they're thugs. They're thugs. And it came off so weak. So no, in answer to that doubter, that other doubter who said, I never heard of this guy. Isn't this the same speech Obama gave? Obama was weak, and Trump is a man of strength. So now you know the difference. What else? Trump called the ISIS terrorists losers. I really liked that. Some of them wimps and some of them hardened killers, which is accurate. And he named off those Americans who were killed. And I have pictures of these Americans. You'll see a couple of like 4 panel pictures side by side and in a Brady Bunch style. There it is. Upper left corner, I believe, is James Foley, who was a journalist, killed by ISIS, captured in 2012, and then killed in 2014, I think. And I have a little bit more pictures about him. And then you see Steven Sotloff, and I think Steven Sotloff may have been, I can't remember which one on the right, Peter Kassig. And Peter Kassig might have been the skinny one on the lower right, because Peter renamed himself Abdul Rahman. I think he might have tried to join ISIS or something. Or maybe he didn't try to join ISIS, but he turned Muslim. Pathetic. And then Kayla Mueller is obviously the woman. And she was a do-gooder liberal, trying to do good in the area. But she got caught and killed, unfortunately. She may have been a liberal, but she was our liberal, not ISIS's, and they killed these people. And you see in the center, that was a British Muslim. And I say British because he was either born in the UK, I think, or I don't know. He was one of the, he was in the European countries, and then he fled and joined ISIS. And I don't think that he was actually a white man. If I remember correctly, he was an Arab who, his mother brought him and his brothers, if I remember the story correctly, because I read about it. And he fled and joined ISIS because he was inspired by the propaganda. And that is something that happens frequently amongst so-called Americans and so-called Europeans who are either born or come as young kids to America and Europe, the West. They're easily brainwashed against the West and into ISIS crap and Muslim radical crap. Easily. It's kind of like the Mexican anchor babies. They, second, third generation, they get spoiled and more radical than their parents, who may have come here a little bit more conservative. So that's them. Also, Trump named the Jordanian pilot. And I remember watching some of these murder videos, right, put out by ISIS. Oh, the white guy? No, I named Peter Kassig, Steven Sotloff, James Foley, and Kayla Mueller. I just couldn't tell which one was which, right? There's Kayla Mueller. I think that's either Steven Sotloff or Peter Kassig. And then there's James Foley. And then there is the other guy, either Peter Kassig or James Foley. I mean, Peter Kassig or Steven Sotloff. Peter Kassig being the guy who changed his name to a Muslim name. Man, liberals are such idiots. But a lot of people get I don't know, it's like you get traumatized after remember when they flew our planes into our World Trade Center? And then all of a sudden they were like, oh, but don't be Islamophobic. That's the liberals for you. Like, they embrace the enemy and take the side of the enemy, saying, but some of these people are not our enemy. Some of these people are nice Muslims. They didn't have anything to do with this. But you'll notice that those so-called nice Muslims are a bunch of liberals. They vote Democrat for the most part. And they have more concern about so-called Islamophobia than they have about dealing with the radicals. They want to bring in more Muslims. They don't think in terms of sanity. They don't have sanity. They don't have logic. Same with these liberals who embrace them. So it's kind of like you start to embrace your oppressor. ISIS, Trump pointed out, executed Christians. I remember watching a whole line of them on the beach. I think they were either Egyptian Christians, Coptic Christians, or from Libya. I saw them being marched in these ISIS propaganda videos. And the propaganda videos are so cool, right? Because they're nicely produced and it's inspiring to people who are evil. And so people joined into these things, not realizing, hey, this is evil what they're doing. They're proudly displaying their evil, killing these people, beheading them, slitting their throats, burning that Jordanian pilot alive. That was pure evil. And they had a sick version of justice too. They believed that they were just. And just like the liberals believe that they're just. And anybody who has anger, right? We always think, oh, my anger is righteous anger. And you'll notice anytime you're mad, you're self-righteously angry and you have reasons for being angry. Well, these people, when they killed that Jordanian pilot, when they burned him alive, no, I'm not sweating. Somebody said, turn on the AC for me. You can turn on the AC, it's getting a little bit warm. I set it to 74, so push the down button, Bob's Lover Joel, to 73. But because out in here in this studio, it's not 74 in here. But I did put on, I put sunblock on. And maybe I put a little too much. Maybe I'm starting to sweat a little bit, I guess. But I appreciate that, guys, looking out for me. So, they call it Stockholm Syndrome Beta Boot Camp. Where was I? Their open display of propaganda videos, the beheadings. So their justification for killing that Jordanian pilot the way that they did, burning him alive, putting him in a cage, setting this rope up that led into the cage out in the middle of the desert, recorded a bunch of different angles, and they murdered this guy. Cruel and unusual punishment, right? And their justification was that he was a pilot, right? And he had supposedly bombed people, so they got burned alive and killed. And so that was their justification for doing the so-called same thing to him, what he supposedly did to others on behalf of his country. So they have a twisted version of justice, right? Sick people. Pure evil. Hake is sweating, can't take the heat, says BC Gosnell. I wonder what he thinks of the difference between Trump and Obama. There is quite a difference. And the same thing with James Foley, I believe what they did to James Foley. They waterboarded him as Americans had waterboarded those people. But they didn't just waterboard him, they executed him. And we should execute the evil ones. But James Foley was I think he was just a journalist, if I remember correctly. There's pictures of James Foley, 2011, being a journalist somewhere. And there's pictures of the waterboarding thing. There's explanations of waterboarding because that's considered torture, right? Even though it doesn't disfigure the people and they do survive. Show me some of those things. And James Foley, too. I just want to make sure that you guys get a picture of this. James Foley. Oh, just go through those pictures, and I'll just kind of narrate them, and then I'll tell you when to stop. I have Joel working on it. I don't have them labeled properly. My mistake.
So which ones are they?
Show all the pictures, and then I'll tell you when to stop. Let me tell you what else Trump did. He said multiple times that they ran away crying and running and screaming like cowards. Trump also talked in Q&A with the media afterwards, and I didn't show this. Just show them whenever you can, Joel, and I'll look up.
They're not in here.
Show all the pictures, right?
They're not in here. They're all of just a boo, and then the thumbnail.
Oh, okay. I think I know what happened. If that's true. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll give them to him. My mistake, Joel. Yeah, some of these are nasty. Okay, I'm transferring about 6 screenshots to you, Joel. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. My fault. He white. Trump talked in Q&A and said Russia was great. There's pictures of James Foley. Journalist James Foley, tortured. He was reporting on the ground way back. Go back. I was kind of reading the thing to them. And then you see a picture of him in his ISIS beheading video. And he was waterboarded and hung upside down during his 2-year captivity. But they dressed him up like convicts, right, in orange jumpsuits. And they did these. And I remember telling you guys about ISIS. I know that they were killing other people. But I had forgotten that they had killed Americans. And so, yes, indeed, they killed Americans. And a lot of them were liberals, do-gooders, journalists or humanitarian-type workers. Go to the next one now. There's James Foley. He was seized by jihadists near the Syrian border with Turkey. And the group later, supposedly, he swore to ISIS, swore to allegiance to ISIS, and they call themselves the Islamic State. They're still ISIS. They're mostly gone now, but some of them were in jail, and then we didn't let them go, but some of the Turks let them go. Go to the next one. There's a few pictures of James Foley. He was pictured in Tripoli, Libya, 2011. Show the waterboarding stuff. So there's a photograph of a waterboarding table with the waterboarding jug teapot thing. And I don't know what that other thing is, but they strap the guy down on this inclined table and waterboard him, right? And that's what the U.S., America did during the war on terror, so-called war on terror. And that's what ISIS did, too, to James Foley. I don't know what type of information they were trying to get out of James Foley, but we did it to get information. And it worked, I think. And this was called torture by the liberals. And I remember watching some journalist or some liberal guy go through it, like get waterboarded. Or maybe it was a conservative guy, but he got waterboarded and he's like, oh man, this is torture. Because I guess it's like a terrifying experience and you feel like you can't breathe. You think you're drowning. But yeah. There's another picture of the Mr. ISIS guy. He was just a spokesman who's British, so he had like a British accent or something. And this is before he kills James Foley, who's down on his knees, and he has a knife and he cuts the guy's head off. Really evil stuff. I watched some of these videos. Did you guys watch any of these videos? You remember? I don't know if you were aware of this, Joel, because you were you hadn't started coming into Bond yet, so you didn't really pay attention to politics. But it was pretty big news at the time. So Iraq was great, ISIS was great, and others. And ISIS fighters, by the way, are hated as much by these people like Russia, Iraq, Iran, Turkey. The Kurds, the Syrian Kurds, they helped us with information, I think. So good for them. They better. They better, because they're the ones that have to deal directly with ISIS. We don't really have to deal with them all that much, because we have a big water mass between us and them. Except when dumb Muslims here become inspired and become lone wolves. And that did happen with the Pulse nightclub, I think. Remember the Pulse nightclub, where the guy, people speculated that he was gay, the son of the Hillary supporter guy. He went into this gay nightclub, homosexual nightclub, over in Orlando, Florida, with he had this whole big rifle down his pants or something. And he pulled it out and shot up the club. And then he called, I think, 911 and said it was on behalf of ISIS, and he didn't like what we were doing to Iraq or something stupid. Crazy stuff. People like that get inspired by crap like that. And Trump also talked with the reporters after what you just saw about how we're staying in Syria just to keep the oil, just to get the oil. And this is consistent Trump. Because Trump said for years, and I remember it during the campaign too, that with Iraq, Trump didn't like that we were in Iraq. He wasn't never happy about it. He was always against it. At one point, you did hear him say, "Oh, I guess we have to go in there, I guess." But he was not happy about it. You could tell in his tone of voice and everything else. He was never a cheerleader for going into Iraq. But he said at least we should have gotten the oil, gotten reimbursed from Iraq from all this, and we'd have a totally different situation now. But Iraq did help us with this, with getting this Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. So, and he's always said that we should get the oil. So he's doing it, he's handling it like a man. Like a actual sane person rather than a politician. A politically correct politician. Oh, we don't want the oil, we're just doing this out of the goodness of our hearts. Stupid. So, this is way better than when the military under Barack Obama got Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden had been on the run and in hiding for years, probably 10 years before we got him. And he was the Al-Qaeda guy who supposedly masterminded the 9/11 terror attacks. And Bill Clinton had the opportunity to get him, didn't. And then 8 months into the Bush administration, George W. Bush, that is, we got that attack. And Bush wasn't the best, but he wasn't like these people. More people died, more of our soldiers were dying at a higher rate under Obama than under George W. Bush. Isn't that interesting? And they didn't really publicize that, except for Breitbart did. So good for the military, not for Obama. Because that's a no-brainer, get Osama bin Laden. But this guy, he was still active. He was still trying to do stuff. So, and they were still committing terror attacks like crazy. Al-Qaeda was still doing stuff, and to this day, they're still doing stuff. And he will be succeeded by others, but Trump has his eye on the others, and we'll get him. So that's nice. Congratulations to Obama, no, not to Obama, to Trump and Russia and Iraq and the Kurds and Syria, I think, and Turkey and Europe. Now you guys handle it, because they're the ones that have to suffer with these people. And they're too cowardly and liberal to really face reality. The reality is that Europe is taking a dive in their civilization, and so has been America. But thanks to Trump and a lot of you guys who are waking up, that's turning around. And Jesse Lee Peterson and all that. So you guys can call in 888-775-3773. I see some of you guys are already on there. I will get to you. Hang tight. But let me get to this story, switch around a little bit. Speak of domestic stuff, domestic evil. I told you about killing type hard evil. Here's soft evil. And actually, they're not that soft either, because Obama was a murderous guy. And the Democrat Party are a murderous party. They love to kill the innocent. Out of sight, out of mind. Babies. Little babies before they're born. The most vulnerable, right? Well, and they're also very degenerate. They push this sex stuff. And they've degenerated a whole generation. I was watching this video of, and then I will get to you guys. I was watching this video of the most popular websites from like mid 90s, early 90s, I guess. I don't know when it was really starting, but through 2019, October 2019, or until October 2019. And it appeared, you see like AOL, Yahoo, Google, and you see these lesser sites, YouTube, Facebook, Amazon, Ask Jeeves, all these outlets, Wikipedia, and they're all like this, the top 10. And then pretty soon, like, I don't know if it was 2018, but it's somewhere between 2016, President Trump's election. Let me try to pull it up, and I'll hand it to you, Joel, if I find it. So if I find it, it's going to be funny. I'll show it to you guys later, but let me finish telling the story. 2017, 2018, 2019, you see these pornography websites becoming into the top 10. Crazy. And so that's kind of an example of the level of degeneracy that we have. And the Muslims have a bad reaction to it. They don't know how to deal with it, so they deal with it in terms of like, they use that as an excuse to call us evil when they're evil too. And I'll just get all these, put them in there, and then I'll give them to you, Joel. But yeah, it's like crazy. They are trying very hard to normalize this stuff. They being, the degenerate people. Take away the shame. Oh, it's just a big joke. And in a certain way, it is a big joke, but in a certain other way, it's evil, and it's the destruction of our country. And that's why I like people that, okay, I've put them in there, Joel. I like people that, I'm showing you guys November 2013, top 10. November 2013 was, I don't know why I took that picture, but Google was on top, Facebook, YouTube, Yahoo. Yeah, June 2015. This was when Trump announced. Google was on top with 29 billion something. Facebook, YouTube, Yahoo down below, Wikipedia, Twitter, Baidu, which is I think Chinese, Instagram, Yandex, Live.com, Amazon. So go through September 2016. You see the layout. All relatively clean websites. Google is evil, right? Facebook is evil. Yeah, YouTube is evil, but we are able to use them for good. November 2016, the election of President Trump. You see the layout. All supposedly like clean websites, right? And then go forward. November 2018, all of a sudden you see porn videos and Pornhub place. Down to 9 and 10. They've broken into the top 10, November 2018. And they are growing too. Like go into like more recent. You see porn videos and Pornhub videos thing all in the top 10. Growing like crazy. And I constantly see, and that's October 2019, in the top 10. Google is still on top. YouTube, Facebook still in the top 3. Wikipedia up there, Twitter up there, Instagram, Yahoo, and then the pornography stuff. Yandex, who knows what that is. Anyways, that is an example of the evil that's kind of creeping in and taking over And when you're into stuff like that, you're not productive or sane. A lot of people, I think that guy was right. Jesse Lee Peterson's late friend, he is dead now, but hopefully he's in heaven. I don't know. But his name was, what was that guy that we played videos of him?
Oh, crap.
Man, I'm blanking on it. Bubs Love, what was that guy? That guy who was a newscaster, and he spoke out against pornography. He did that movie called Perversion for Profit, and he had a cool voice. He reminded me of Bill Lockwood, who comes on the Jesse Lee Peterson show last Tuesday of the month, and all that. He warned back in 1964-65 in the movie Perversion for Profit, which was put out by a financier, for the Citizens for Literary Decency, something like that. Decent Literature, Citizens for Decent Literature. Later on, Citizens for Decency Through Law, CDL. Put out that video by, man, I'm blanking on it. Anyways, I'll tell you later. But that guy warned about it, and with it, it was the increase of acceptance of homosexuality. And we saw one not pornography guy, homosexual guy.
George Putnam.
George Putnam was the guy, newscaster, Los Angeles radio host, old school guy, tough, pro-Christian, pro-decency. And he fought against illegal aliens and all that stuff too. He wasn't just one of those nice Christians that wants to be nice to the illegals. No, he was for what's right for the illegals and for America. And what's right is not just being nice to them or giving them mercy. Because there's times when you're not supposed to give mercy. You're supposed to enforce the law. And we're losing the country partly because of that too. But this is affecting like all races, men and women getting into pornography like that stuff. And they're getting into stuff like this Representative Katie Hill that I'll tell you about after I get to calls, because I don't want you guys to be on hold too long, who are doing like things called throuple, which is really a threesome, which is three-way sex stuff. She was married to a man, 10 years almost, and then they got with this assistant staffer for her campaign, this female, 22 years old, and they're in their 30s, right? So it's kind of like taking advantage of the 22-year-old stupid woman. Is that them?
Yeah.
So there's a picture on the left. You see, if you're watching, you see Katie Hill, freshman Democrat representative from North LA County, Los Angeles County, toppled, I think, the last Republican in LA County. Her husband, beta male, has a different last name from hers, because she is a feminist and he is a beta male, liberal, no doubt. And I think that's the 22-year-old unidentified staffer, I guess. Has she been identified since then or something? Because they blurred her face in other video pictures. But I guess that is the, what, oh yeah, wow. So they're no longer blurring her face. So the conservative outlet Red State, which used to be run by a Rhino Never Trumper, but that guy has come around and become pro-Trump, put out this story and had the decency not to show the naked pictures, except for one, right, where she was brushing the girl's hair. I say girl, but it's a 22-year-old. And then you see, thank you for the, she has a bong and like a iron cross tattoo near her crotch. So she had like this Huffington Post weird type of, there she is with her husband. Like nice looking couple, right? For liberals. They had this Huffington Post morality. And I say Huffington Post because Huffington Post promotes this crap. So does CNN, to be honest. Huffington Post is even less classy, though, than CNN. And for me to say that, that's kind of pretty extreme. But they're like a ridiculous outlet. They didn't even want to put Trump in the Huffington Post, wanted to put Trump in the entertainment section during his campaign, not in the politics section. Boy, did he prove them wrong. But he is very entertaining. So, but he is entertaining because the truth is entertaining. and also because he's just good at that. So it's really disgusting. Sorry about the pictures. Nazi crotch shot. Nazi crotch fat, whatever. Yeah, so disgusting stuff. And they've been really degenerating the people. So no wonder you're going to end up doing this, and you get compromised and easy to blackmail people like that. And I've heard Cernovich and others citing theories, and they may be accurate, that they really put politicians to be really degenerate sexually like this, so then they have something on them to control them. But regardless, even if nobody else knows, you're still controlled by evil when you're into that stuff. But yeah. So, anyways, let me get to some calls. I think that I finished my point. But good job, George Putnam. Good job, Jesse Lee Peterson. Good job, President Trump, because Trump came out of that type of a world. He wasn't into pornography, I don't think, but he was, cheating and stuff. And now he's like presenting class, and that's good. Anyways, man, a lot of you guys are calling. Javier out of Missouri. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you, Hank?
Doing fine. Nice to hear from you.
I just wanted to call you Hank to make fun of Charles from Missouri.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Hey, I just wanted to thank you, honestly, for speaking up for the white man and also standing up and speaking out about the white man.
Nice, man.
We need a lot of criticism.
Say that again?
We need a lot of criticism right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. You're talking about how the white man is kind of on the decline.
And the weak as well.
Yeah, that is so true, man. And that's why I really like Jesse and what he does, that he really tells the truth about all races. And he's been saying for years that whites are weak and afraid. And that is a form of a lack of love for blacks and others. And he's made fun of how like even the conservative whites and the Christian whites will raise their children, sacrifice them to the public schools, or be overly into politics where they're not living it themselves, and then the kids end up liberal and rejecting their parents' religion and conservatism. So he's quite balanced, and some of the blacks don't realize that. But each race has its unique, typical challenges that they face, and it's funny how we tend to fall into those things. Even the ones that are for what's right, the black ones fall into the black thing a little bit. The white ones fall into the white thing a little bit. And I'm not talking about just being into color. I'm talking about whites tend to fall into this weakness thing. Get into to work too much and not pay attention to what's going on. Different things. Or they pay too much attention and get too passionate. So, man, I appreciate that, Javier. You're white?
I'm whitish.
Right on.
White. My flesh is white.
Yeah.
Flesh is white.
You're white Hispanic?
I'm that anchor baby that called you about my father in prison from Cuba that murdered a guy long ago, though.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that story. Man.
Never ask a white man if they remember, though,
Yeah, true.
Because we're all
Man, I'm glad you cited that call. You remember when that was? What month? I remember that call.
Maybe July. I think it was during White History Month.
Okay. Man, I appreciate that, Javier. Yeah,
you bet, man.
We got to live it. All right, take care, man.
You too, man. Thanks for the show and everything you do. Keep criticizing the whites. We need it, man. We need to hear about it.
Definitely. All right, Javier, take care.
Thanks, man. Bye.
Bye. Speaking of whites needing criticism, Skip and I, Skip out of Georgia.
Hey,
how you doing, Skip?
hey, did I hear you right about criticism?
Yes.
Who needs some criticism?
You and I need criticism.
Every day, brother, every day.
Yeah.
Hey, look here, James.
Yes.
Did you pick up on it? Did you pick up on it this morning when the reporters was asking questions, and one of them asked Trump was pretty much was Nancy Pelosi in the loop of things before it went down? Did you know it was going to happen? And he basically, he said no, she wasn't in the loop. You didn't want to be leaked out.
Nice. I did not catch that. I was listening to quite a bit of the Q&A afterwards, but I cut it off at a certain point. But good for him, man. Yeah,
Yeah, I thought
Pelosi
that
doesn't
was
need to know
funny.
anything.
No, she didn't need to know anything. And let me ask you something real quick.
Okay.
I'll subject on that. What was that guy's name that got killed? That they killed when after he got
Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the ISIS guy.
Baghdadi? He sounds more like a rapper than a terrorist, don't he?
Yeah. You know, he was a Gen Xer, right? He was, well, I don't know if they count as Gen X when they're born in Iraq. So they may not have the same issues as us, but he was like the new generation of well, he was approaching 50, but he was the new generation of crazy ISIS terrorists. That's why he put out cool propaganda videos. Well, not he, but his group. So yeah, he did seem like a rapper.
This came at a good time with them giving him such a hard time wanting to impeach him and everything.
Yeah, that's true. You know, one thing about Trump, he keeps on doing his job, and I know that this was mostly like the military doing their job, right? Of course, and the so-called intelligence community. Sometimes they do a good job. Sometimes they just try to go after Trump, the so-called intelligence community. But yeah, Trump is continuing to fight for the things that he promised to do. He's fighting at the border, fighting for good trade deals, and fighting for the economy and for the American people, and fighting to defend himself and set a good example of defending yourself as a politician, a decent politician. I really love how he's doing it.
He's doing a good job. He's not getting credit for the good things that he's doing.
Yeah.
They're focusing on the Democrats are really hurting themselves because they're focusing so much on getting him out of office before the election because they know they couldn't win in an election to begin with.
Yeah.
And they're working so hard to talk bad about him, and the only talking points they have about themselves is all this free stuff they're going to give us.
Right.
So really, nobody can explain how they can afford to give it to us.
I know, nor should they even give it to us, even if they could afford it. But
Exactly.
yeah, that's speaking of more corruption, because free stuff is very corrupting. You'll notice it in your own life when you're given stuff or all that stuff. Hey, Skip, I have a quick question from the chat. Brandon Johnson was asking, and I caught this. I almost forgot. Did you block him, Brandon Johnson? Wow, why they're trying to bring their drama into my to my show.
No, I don't block nobody. That's very, very beta to block somebody.
Oh, okay. I don't think it's beta to block anybody.
If they say something, if they say something to me on a personal level that I don't like, I always come back with, well, you ought to ask your mama that ain't what she said last night, and that usually shuts them up.
All right, Skip, appreciate that, man. Good to hear from you.
You have a good day, James.
All right, you as well. Take care.
All right, buddy.
All right. Clink out of Canada. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
What'd you say?
Clint.
Clint. Yeah, there you go.
My bad, man. I have a new I have a new phone screener, and who shall remain anonymous. And he spelled it Clink. Sorry, Clint. Good to hear from you, man.
It's okay. Yeah, it was just your comment on, you said journalists over in, the Middle East and the East being, they're tortured and they're being captured and them being liberal do-gooders. I'm just wondering, where did you get that information from?
Well, I just happen to know that most journalists are liberal, and I think I was referring to liberals and do-gooders, right? So, the do-gooder was more I was speaking more about the humanitarian woman, Kayla Mueller, who was killed. She was a liberal do-gooder. And I was referring to the humanitarian thing. But the journalists, journalists do tend to be liberal. They tend to be brainwashed and educated. And by educated, I mean brainwashed, indoctrinated. So sometimes they cast things like in liberal light. They don't really see things as clearly, even though they are on the ground, so-called, and taking the pictures and stuff like that. So I appreciate their work. There's a lot of honest journalists who are doing good work. And there are some liberal.
especially when they're going into a war zone.
Yeah, right.
So,
But
I just don't get that. That every journalist over there is a liberal.
I didn't say every, but I just said most journalists are.
Yeah,
and so I looked into.
You and your buddy there say it all the time. Not all, but most.
Right.
But
you don't know that most journalists are liberal?
How do you know? How do I know?
You don't know that?
Liberals, there's conservatives.
No, like
aren't the Fox News journalists more conservative than liberals?
Some maybe, I don't know. A lot of them are liberals.
See, there you go. So you don't know. You just said.
No, but you're the ones who. So you're telling me that you don't know that most journalists are liberal. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I don't know. I don't
wow.
know people.
No, you should look into it. Most journalists are liberals. It's just reality, man.
You think that most journalists?
It's not. I think I know it.
There's not a high percentage.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
And people and then humanitarians, people that go over to believe in something that they think is right.
Yeah.
And they get killed for it, and you're calling them like do-gooders, and you're calling them.
It's what they are, man.
They're wasting their time. And
in some cases, probably. In some cases, probably, man.
Do-gooder?
Say that again.
And you're not being a conservative do-gooder?
I don't know what I'm being, but I'm talking about. Why are you going after me for this? We're talking about them.
I'm not. I'm just wondering where you're getting all this from. Like
it's very common knowledge that most so-called journalists are liberals. It's very common knowledge. So for you not to know that is pretty shocking. It's pretty shocking that you don't know that.
No, it's not about not knowing what political side they're on.
Yes, it is. That's what I brought up. And why are you complaining about me bringing it up?
I'm just wondering where you're getting this information from.
You can look around for it. I think that I saw in Bill O'Reilly's recent book that 10% of so-called journalists. Hey, hold on. You can laugh all you want because that's not a valid argument for you to laugh at that. Because that makes you a fake. He's not a valid person. Yes, he is a valid source.
What?
He's a journalist. He's an honest journalist.
He's a journalist.
Now you're just a mocker, Clint.
He goes
Clint, are you a liberal or a conservative?
I'm not anything.
You're a liberal. You're a liberal.
I could care less.
What are you listening to this show for, Clint?
Why?
How'd you hear the show? How'd you hear the show? How'd you hear the show?
Oh, I got a buddy of mine that's all into you guys there, and he showed me a video, and I was like, oh man.
Oh, right on.
These guys are out to left field.
Appreciate you tuning in. So I was telling you, and you started laughing and mocking that I saw in a Bill O'Reilly book.
And you guys don't do that.
That's fine, but let me finish my statement, man. Bill O'Reilly, this is radio, so we have to have a back and forth. So Bill O'Reilly cited in his book, in a recent book, that 10% of journalists are registered Republicans. 10%. Yes, it is a high percentage of liberal journalists, and you can see it come through very plainly when you read AP. They're female feminist activists. They're pro-transgender LGBT crap. They won't call illegal aliens illegal aliens. They stopped that in 2013 or 2014. They won't call things what they are. They'll refer to the transgenders by the so-called preferred pronoun. So they live in a false imaginary world. So that tells you that they're liberals. And then, yes, in many cases, these people who go across the country or across the world and do journalists in war zones and things, sometimes they maybe don't need to be doing that. There may be something wrong with them for them to make that decision. Maybe not all. Some of them are doing good work, right? And then these do-gooders like Kayla Mueller, maybe she didn't need to be over there. Maybe she was just being a do-gooder because there's a lot of liberals that have this imitation morality, right? Where they go and help people, people, but they're not really helping people. They're just helping their own ego. They're maybe helping on a physical sense, but you don't always have to be doing that, right? And so in some cases, these people were misguided by going over there in the first place, I think. I mean, it's just common sense for you to go to that extreme and do that. Yeah.
man, I get your point.
Yeah.
Because, well, why do people go and do anything? Why?
So
Why do
sometimes
people go do anything?
Sometimes very good reasons, sometimes not so good reasons.
Well, yeah. So
Yeah.
this woman thought it was a very good reason to go out and do something good, and
Yeah.
yes, it cost her life.
Yeah.
There is that,
It's not necessarily even disrespectful, man. It's just calling it what it is. It's like a do-gooder mentality.
do-gooder mentality.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing over there?
We're
Like your bond. Your
bond
thing.
is for
You're-
like
you're getting young people to
Right.
be good, right?
Yeah.
So like you're calling a spade here. You know?
That's racist. You can't say call a spade a spade.
Oh my God.
That came from spade
racist.
used to be another word for N-word.
Oh.
I'm just playing around with you, man. But
Yeah,
yeah,
no
I mean
kidding.
it's not like I'm not okay, so let's say me. I speak very frankly about the black community, and some of them don't like that, right? If I get I get beat up for that.
If I was black and I seen you on the street.
Right. Yeah, that type of thing. That is let's call that a risk that I took by speaking very plainly about the black community, right?
Oh my God, you live in America. These people are going to like a war zone.
I know.
You live
Yeah.
in America. You're fine.
I know.
Where are
No,
you
but
from?
listen,
Like,
there is a you may not be familiar with this either, but there is a high percentage of black on white crime versus the other way around. But you're right. You're right. I'm in a relatively safe place, not in a war zone. But that's because I'm sane enough not to go to a war zone. You know, I thought at one point I thought about joining the military. I was like, it was after college, right? Because I had thought about it in freshman year of high school. But after college, like I was like working, but I was kind of aimless, and I was like, 2008 or so. Oh, maybe I should join the military. It was a suggestion from a girl. And then so she had been in the military. And then so like I started training a little bit. I was going to be
you took suggestion
I went
from
through
a girl.
MEPS. Yeah, I went through MEPS, which is something. And then so like I was going to be like a Marine officer, right? But then I woke up one morning and I'm like, I don't want to die or lose a limb or something. And so I got out of that. I'm like, no, that's not sane. Plus Obama was going to be the so-called commander-in-chief. And so that was a bad idea.
Another thing too. Why is it always like someone else's fault?
What's that?
Like, why is it? Well, I didn't join the military because of Obama. So like you knew right away. You knew right away that the Obama administration would be terrible.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was very.
When it's not even. Right when it didn't even start, you knew.
You knew the type of person that he was. You knew the type of person he was. He was weak, a liberal, and those people tend to bring on the worst things. It was the Obama administration that brought us ISIS. Obama and Hillary.
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
That started way back in the 80s when the Russians invaded Afghanistan.
You can trace different things, but Obama left a vacuum in Iraq, and he armed ISIS. He and Hillary were arming ISIS.
No, that was.
Yeah, they were. They were arming ISIS.
That was a long time ago. That was a long time ago.
You can laugh that all off, but the fact is, Obama brought ISIS to the forefront. They wouldn't have become as successful as they were had America not done the mistakes that they made.
No, Jesus. Go read Ghost Wars. Go read Ghost Wars.
See, now you're just not giving me a real thing. You're not giving me a real argument. I gotta go,
Yeah,
Clint. Nice talking with you.
Because just go read something.
Okay, I
Go
appreciate
read
the tip.
Ghost Wars,
I appreciate the
and
tip,
there
man.
You go. Okay, all right. I'm not giving you anything. Okay, bye.
Take care. No, it's just I have to go. Jose out of Odessa, Texas. How are you doing, Jose?
Hey, how's it going?
Going fine. Nice to hear from you. We're in the last minute here, so
Okay.
have at it.
Yeah, that caller Clint, he was trying to say that do-gooders, that you were calling them, that it was wrong, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's just calling it what it is.
Yeah, it is.
As a soldier, going down range, that the so-called do-gooders and everything that we actually protected them. Everything is, they get treated, really good.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
But still, like they talk bad about America.
Right.
And we're there to help them out. It's funny how people don't see it. As growing up as a kid, seeing reporters, seeing do-gooders, then you can see it. How they're doing it for themselves. They're not really doing it for whoever they're helping.
Right.
But it's funny how Clint didn't see it.
Yeah. He's Canadian. He's a liberal.
I guess there's a lot of liberal television over there. But there's liberal television here.
Yep, I know, man. Texas, man. Texas is going blue. But keep staying there and keep fighting it out and keep telling the truth, Jose. Nice to hear from you, man.
All right, nice to hear from you.
All right, take care.
You too.
Bye. Sorry about that, Clint. We'll talk again, hopefully. And guys, to make sure in less than 1 hour, we will be premiering the 2008 Sunday service, Bond Building the Man. Go subscribe to Bond Building the Man on YouTube. And then maybe half an hour after that ends, because it's an hour and a half, a little less than an hour and a half long Sunday service from 2008. Then hopefully Jesse will be streaming out his on a little cell phone video. It won't be the best quality, but we'll have maybe get a better quality version afterwards. But hopefully we'll get the Jesse Lee Peterson Politicon appearance, his interview with John Fugelsang. Look out for that. We'll do what we can for sure. All right, guys, take care. TheHakeReport.com and JLPTalk.com for the weekdays. Take care.